Hello students, welcome to fourth lecture of chemical bondings and molecular structures. In previous lecture we discussed about Lewis dot structure representation for ions and molecules. And now let us discuss about problems mentioned related to them. Now our first problem is write the Lewis dot structure of CO molecule. So in first step we will try to find total number of valence electrons. So in CO molecule we have carbon and oxygen. So as we know, in case of carbon we have 4 valence electrons and in case of oxygen we have 6 of them. So total number of valence electron 4 plus 6 is equal to 10. And no charge is mentioned on CO molecule, that means neither positive or negative. If it carries positive charge, then you have to subtract given number from the total valence electron, and if it carries negative charge, then you have to add the number of electrons mentioned in negative charge. So first step is to find total number of valence electron, which is 10. Now second step is find skeletal structure. If you have two different type of atoms, then generally negative atoms are present around the positive atom. That means higher electronegative elements are present at the surroundings and less electronegative element or electropositive element is present at the center. But in this case we have only two atoms, so no need to do any kind of arrangements. It will be present in straight line. So our skeletal structure for this molecule will be CO present in straight line. So between two atoms, at least one bond must be present. So that means we have to put out 2 electrons out of 10 valence electrons between C and O. This is our minimum requirement. We have to arrange at least 2 electrons. So we will put 2 electrons between them. Out of total we have 10 electrons. We will arrange 2 electrons between them so that they can get single bonded structure. So as you can see, around the carbon we have only 4 electrons. 2 are shared and 2 are present in carbon. Around the oxygen we have 8 electrons. 2 are shared and 6 are in carbon. Oxygen. So that means octet of oxygen is complete, but octet of carbon is not. So we have to rearrange electrons even further. To complete octet of both of them, we have to arrange two extra bonds. If you cannot get direct answer, then step by step increase the number of bonds. That means, as mentioned in this case, we have one carbon with two lone pair of electrons. Lone pair, that means this pair of electron is not used in bond formation. Now we have two electrons of carbon and oxygen shared with each other between them. And then we have electrons, lone pair of electrons of oxygen like this. So as we can see, around the carbon we have only 4 electrons, but around the oxygen 8 electrons are fully filled. That means octet of oxygen is complete. So to increase the electrons inside the carbon, we have to share more pairs of oxygen. So that means let us try to share two different pairs between the oxygen and carbon. So now we will put two electrons between them. Okay, but extra used electrons belongs to oxygen. So this pair, let us say, was initially here. So now no electron pair is present there. And now let us count the total number of electrons around each. So as you can see, around the carbon we have only 6 electrons, and around the oxygen we have 4 shared and 4 lone pair. That means 8 electrons are still present around the oxygen. But to complete carbon's octet, we have to share one more pair. So final structure will be something like this. Between the carbon and oxygen, we have total 3 shared pairs like this. One pair, lone pair, is present inside the carbon, and one pair, lone pair, is present inside the oxygen. Now let us check. So these are the number of electrons in valency of carbon. So as you can see, it is 8,
and these will be the number of electrons around oxygen. So as you can see, it is again 8 electrons. So that means between the carbon and oxygen you will get 1, 2 and 3 bonds. So it is triple bonded structure, and both of them still gets 1 electron pairs left,
which we can see in this figure. But keep in mind, in this bond formation, not all the electrons belongs to both of the element. That means, as mentioned earlier, in covalent bond, both of the elements will share 1 electrons each. But in this case, it's not completely true. So let us try to figure out. Initially, as mentioned earlier, how many electrons we have as a valence electron in carbon? We have 4 electrons. And in case of oxygen, we have total 6 electrons. So as we can see, 1 electron pair is still left in carbon. Okay, so we have total 4 electrons, and out of 4, 2 are still present inside the carbon. So how many electrons are used? So only 2 electrons of carbon are being used in this bond formation. For oxygen, as we know, we have total 6 electrons as a valence electron, and only 2 are still present in it. That means 2 electrons are unused out of 6 electrons. So how many electrons of oxygen are being used? We have total 4 electrons used in this bond formation. So as we can see, 2 from carbon, 4 from oxygen, we have total 6 electrons as a shared electrons, and that's why we mentioned triple bonded structure.
So it means in this molecule, if we talk about shared electrons, out of 6 only 2 belongs to carbon and 4 belongs to oxygen. Now let us represent their electrons with different symbols. Let us say electrons of carbon, they are dots, and electrons of oxygen, they are X. So in this triple bond, situation will be something like this. Between carbon and oxygen, only 2 electrons actually belongs to carbon. That means something like this. In first bond, 1 electron belongs to carbon, second belongs to oxygen. In second bond, 1 belongs to carbon, second belongs to oxygen. But in third bond, both of the electrons actually belongs to oxygen, and they both has 1 electron pair left. Okay, something like this is going on inside the CO molecule.
Next example is write the Lewis structure of nitrite ion NO2 minus. So as usual, first you have to count total number of electrons, valence electrons. So in case of nitrogen, we have 5 valence electron. Okay, so from nitrogen side you will get 5. Oxygen has 6 valence electron, and we have total 2 oxygens, so that means 12 from oxygen side, and overall NO2 carries -1 charge. That means we have to add one more electron because of -1 charge. So total number of valence electrons, it will be 18. So in first step we got total 18 electrons as a valence electron, and now you have to arrange total 18 electrons around 3 atoms, so that each atom gets 8 electrons around it. Our next point is to get skeletal structure. As mentioned earlier, usually less electronegative element will be present at center, and the higher electronegative elements will be around it. But it is not always true, but in usual situation these type of skeletal structures are possible. So we can place less electronegative nitrogen at the center and higher electronegative oxygens around it. So this will be our skeletal structure ONO. Now at least one bond must be present between each atoms, so that we have to arrange 2 electrons between each atoms. That means we have to put 2 electrons between oxygen and nitrogen to get a single bond between them.
So let us try to find the structure. As we know, we have total 6 electrons as a valence electron in oxygen, In nitrogen we have 5, in second oxygen again we have 6, and because NO2 carries minus 1 charge, we will add 1 electron more, so that you will get total 18 electrons. And now we have to arrange 18 electrons in around these three elements. So first of all we have total. So this will be our initial situation. These are the electrons arranged around each atom. Now as mentioned, we have to share the pairs between them, so that one bond between each atoms can occur. So let us share 1 electrons of each atoms between them, so that we can place one bond, single bond between them. So let us put 1 electron of oxygen here and 1 of nitrogen on the same, one from nitrogen, one from oxygen on other side of the molecule. Now remaining number of electrons in each atom. So possibly we can arrange electrons like this. Okay, total number of electrons should be 18. So in this case, as you can see, we have total 8 electrons around each oxygens, and remaining electrons should be put on nitrogen. So we can add 2 more electrons on nitrogen. Now if you see, octet of oxygens are complete, but octet of nitrogen is not. Around the nitrogen we have only 6 electrons. So one of these two oxygens will share its electron pair with nitrogen to complete octet of nitrogen. That means we have to remove one of the electron pair. Let us say first oxygen shares a pair like this. Okay, so as we can see, now we have total 8 electrons in first oxygen, 8 in nitrogen, and 8 in second oxygen. So octet of each elements in these is complete. Now same type of situation may also occur with second oxygen as well. That means instead of first oxygen, second will share its electron pair. In that case, electron double bond will be present here. So in this case, our structure is oxygen contains two non-bonding electron pair, then double bond with nitrogen, and nitrogen contains one lone pair of electron, then single bond with second oxygen, and overall it carries negative charge. And same type of situation can be flipped. That means nitrogen will form single bond with first oxygen, and it will form double bond with second oxygen, just like this, but in opposite way. So you will get these two different type of possible structure for NO, and both type of structures will be present at the same time, because they are constantly flipping the bonds between oxygens and nitrogens.
Next is a formal charge. So Lewis dot structure in general do not represent the actual shapes of the molecule. That means, as we can see in previous two cases, it may or may not be actual structures of given molecules. That means if we talk about CO, it will be linear. So in Lewis dot structure representation and actual shape of molecule, it will be same, because it contains only two atoms, and in two atoms only possible structure is linear atom. But when we have more than three, then there is no significance of use of Lewis dot structure for finding shape of molecule. Okay, we will discuss about these points later in this unit. So let us move further. In case of polyatomic ions, the net charge is possessed by the ion as a whole and not by a particular atom. It is, however, feasible to assign a formal charge on each atom. If you have ions like CO32 minus or NO2 minus, negative charges or even positive charges, they are not particularly charged present on single atom, but it will spread out in whole ion. But still we can give charges of each atom individually. Okay, so we are going to find the charges of each atom present in molecule or ion. The formal charge of an atom in a polyatomic molecule or ion may be defined as the difference between the number of valence electrons of that atom in isolated or free state and the number of electrons assigned to that atom in the Lewis structure. It is expressed as formal charge Fc on an atom in Lewis structure is equal to total number of valence electron in free atoms minus total number of non-bonding electrons or lone pair of electrons, that means electrons which are not part of bonds, minus 1 by 2 total number of bondings or shared electrons. Now let us see what definition says. So as mentioned here, to find the charge, formal charge of an atom in polyatomic molecule, first of all you should have knowledge of the valence electron of that atom in isolated or free state. That means when this atom is not attached with any other atom. When you have only free single atom, it is called isolated or free state of that atom. First you have to calculate the number of valence electron in that case, and then we have to calculate the total number of electrons in molecular or ionic representation around that atom. As it is mentioned here, the electron assigned to that atom in Lewis structure. Okay, so we have to find both of the numbers, that means number of electrons in free state as well as number of electrons in molecular or ionic state, and putting these numbers in this equation we can find the formal charge of an atom present in Lewis structure. This counting is based on the assumption that atom in molecule owns one electron of each shared pair and both the electrons of a lone pair. Okay, so keep in mind, if two electrons are present between the atoms, then both of the atoms gains one electron. And if electron is present within the atom, that means lone pair or unshared electron pair, then you have to count both of these electrons in that atom. Okay, now as mentioned earlier, in covalent bondings shared pair belongs to both of the atom, but in coordinate covalent bonds electron pair is belongs to only one atom. But we are going to ignore that fact because right now we didn't actually learn about coordinate covalent bond. So let us concentrate in this point. As mentioned here, shared electron pair belongs to both of the atom. To understand this point, ozone will be a very good example because it contains same type of atoms in three different conditions. As you can see, we have total 3 oxygens. First oxygen contains one lone pair and one double bond with one of the oxygen and single bond with next oxygen. Second oxygen is usually normal oxygen, just like in oxygen molecule, O2 molecule. It contains 2 bonds and 2 lone pair, and third oxygen contains single bond and total 3 lone pairs. So first of all, in free state you have to find the number of valence electrons in free state. So as we know, in case of oxygen we have total 6 valence electrons. So 1, 2 or 3, all of these 3 oxygens carries 6 valence electrons in their isolated or free state. Next thing is you have to find the number of electrons for these atoms in their Lewis dot structure, that means in molecular structure.
So let us write their number of electrons in molecular structure. For first oxygen, as you can see, we have a lone pair of electron. So electrons not shared with other atoms. So in lone pair or unshared electrons, let us call it UN. So electron in lone pair or their unshared electrons. So for first oxygen, we have 2 unshared electrons. Now let us count the total shared electrons. So as mentioned earlier, in this case we will assume that if we have one bond between two different atoms, then this bond 2 electrons will be used, and in this case both of the atom will get 1 electron. So as we can see here, between first and second oxygen we have double bond. That means total 4 electrons will be used. Out of 4, 2 electrons will belong to first oxygen and 2 will belongs to second oxygen. So number of shared electron with second oxygen, it will be 2. Only 2 electrons belongs to this oxygen. Then number of electrons shared with third oxygen. So as we can see, we have single bonds, only 2 electrons will be used. In this case, one belongs to first oxygen, second belongs to third oxygen. So how many shared electrons we have? We have total 6 shared electrons, and out of 6, 3 belongs to our atom, our first atom. Now for second oxygen, so for second oxygen, as you can see, we have 2 lone pairs, that means 4 unshared electrons. And as we can see here, we have double bond, so in double bond we have 4 electrons, that's why 2 belongs to second oxygen out of 4. For third oxygen, as we can see, we have 1, 2 and total 3 unshared electron pairs. So total number of unshared electrons, we have 6. And we have a single bond, that means only 1 electron belongs to third oxygen from that bond. Okay, so these are the number of shared and unshared electrons in ozone. For first oxygen we have 2 unshared and 3 shared. For second oxygen we have 4 unshared and 2 shared electrons. And for third oxygen we have 6 unshared electrons or 3 pairs and 1 shared electron. Now concentrate on this equation. So first of all, total number of valence electron in the free atom minus total number of non-bonding lone pair electrons minus half of the total number of bondings or shared electrons.
From that calculation, for first oxygen, these will be our numbers. So as we calculated, we have total 6 valence electrons in free oxygen. Okay, so that's why first we have to place 6. Minus second point is lone pair of electron. So as you can see in this structure, for first oxygen, we have 2 electrons not shared with other atoms. So it will be 2 in this equation. Minus 1 by 2 multiply by total number of shared electrons. So here, as you can see, first of all you have to calculate the total number of bonds. So for first oxygen we have 3 bonds. With one oxygen we have double bond, with second oxygen we have single bond. So total 6 electrons will be used in it. One bond, that means 2 electrons. So we have total 3 bonds, so it represents 6 electrons. Okay, so place 6. That means you will get plus 1 charge for the first oxygen.
In this case, 6 represents valence electrons of oxygen atom in free state. That means when it is not bonded with any other atom. This 2 represents lone pair of electrons. That means electrons which is not used in bond formation. That means it belongs to that element only. Then this is shared electron. This calculation represents for shared electron. So total number of bonds we have for first oxygen, we have double bond with one oxygen and single bond with second oxygen. So as mentioned, if there is a bond between two different elements, let us say A and B, then 2 electrons will be used in that bond and each atom will gain 1 electron out of it. So here we have total 3 bonds, that means 6 electrons. You have to distribute electrons equally. So 6 out of 6, that means in this case we have 4 electrons, so 2 belongs to our main atom, and in this single bond 1 belongs to main atom. So from shared electrons, our first oxygen gets 3 electrons. From unshared electrons, it gets 2 electrons. So that means our answer is 5. So this is the difference of free state and molecular or ionic state. That means we are actually subtracting number of electrons in molecular or ionic state from the number of electrons in free state. In free state, our oxygen gains total 6 electrons. In molecular state in ozone, that means O3 molecule, our first oxygen has 2 electrons as a lone pair and 3 electrons as a shared pair. So all you have to do is number of electrons in free state minus number of electrons in molecular or ionic state will give us formal charge, which is +1. Now we can calculate for second oxygen using the same method. So total number of valence electron in free state, it is the same 6, because we are talking about oxygen. Now let us find the total number of electron in this molecular state. So as you can see, we have 2 lone pairs. So all of these 4 electrons belongs to our oxygen. So 4 electrons as a lone pair plus, now let us find the shared electrons. So as you can see, we have double bond. That means total 4 electrons will be used in double bond, and you have to distribute equally. So 2 belongs to second oxygen, 2 belongs to first oxygen. So from the shared electrons, 2 electrons are added in our second oxygen. So total number of electrons in this molecular state, again 6. So 6 minus 6 will be 0. So formal charge of our oxygen, it will be 0. And now let us use equation as mentioned. So number of valence electron in free state is equal to 0 minus number of lone pair electrons. So we have 2 plus 2, 4 lone pair electrons, minus number of shared electron divided by 2, or 1 by 2 divided by multiply by shared electrons. So 1 by 2 multiply by shared electrons. So shared electrons, we have 4 electrons shared because it has double bond. So that means 6 minus 4 minus 2 is equal to 0. And now let us calculate for last oxygen, third oxygen. So in free state, it has 6 valence electron. Now electron pairs, lone pairs, we have total 3 lone pairs. That means 6 electrons that are completely present inside the oxygen. They are not shared. So minus 6. Minus, we have one bond only. Okay, so 1 by 2 multiply by 2, because we have one bond, it represents there are 2 electrons present here. So according to this calculation, 6 minus 6, 0 minus 1 is equal to minus 1. So third oxygen carries minus 1 charge. So number of electrons in free state is equal to 6, and number of electrons in molecular state, let us find it. So in this case, we have 6 electrons as a lone pair. So 6 plus, we have 2 electrons in bond formation, and they will be distributed equally. So one belongs to first oxygen and one belongs to third oxygen. So that means in this molecular state, our third oxygen contains total 7 electrons. So 6 in free state, 7 in molecular state. That means minus 1 charge. That means in simple way, we can say that third oxygen gains extra electron during the bond formation. First oxygen loses 1 electron during the bond formation, and for second oxygen, nothing is gained, nothing is lost. That's why it will remain neutral. That means if you want to put the charges on all of these 3 atoms, then our first atom will be positively charged because it loses 1 electron. Initially in free state, number of electrons were 6. In molecular state, it has only 5 electrons, 3 shared electrons and 1 lone pair. Our second oxygen contains 6 electrons in free state and 6 electrons in molecular state. That means 6 minus 6, it carries neutral charge. Nothing is gained, nothing is lost. Our third oxygen, initially it has 6 electrons as a valence electron in free state, and now it gains 1 extra electron. That means in molecular state it has total 7 electrons. So now it will be negatively charged. Okay, so charge on the third oxygen, it will be negative. Second will be neutral.
And overall charge of molecule, first oxygen carries plus 1 charge, second carries 0, and third carries minus 1. So overall charge of the molecule is 0. So our ozone molecule or O3 molecule is neutral. That's why we can represent ozone molecule like this, and it will be neutral. Although it contains one neutral atom, one positive ion and one negative ion. Now we must understand that the formal charges do not indicate real charge separation within the molecule. Indicating the charge on the atom in the Lewis structure only helps in keeping track of the valence electron in the molecule. Formal charges help in the selection of the lowest energy structure from a number of possible Lewis structure for a given species. That means you can find different type of possible Lewis dot structures using same type of method, but sharing will be different. Sharing of electrons will be different. When you get two different type of structures, how can you find which structure will be more stable? For that, you can calculate the formal charges. Lower the charges, more will be stability, and higher the charges, less will be stability. Okay, so everything is depends on the formal charges. If you have molecules or ions and you get different type of structures, Lewis dot structures, then compare their charges with each other as mentioned in this case, number of electrons in free state and number of electrons in molecular or ionic state. Difference will give us formal charge, and formal charge should be minimum. Minimum formal charge represents more stable structure. Generally, the lowest energy structure is one with the smallest formal charge on the atoms. The formal charge is a factor based on pure covalent view of bonding, in which electron pairs are shared equally by the neighboring atoms. Now let us talk about some limitations of this rule. The octet rule, although it is useful, it is not universal. It is quite useful for understanding structures of most of the organic compounds, and it applies mainly to the second period elements of the periodic table. There are three types of exceptions to the octet rule. That means, as mentioned earlier, all of the atoms are trying to gain octets. But it is not true for all of the atoms around. Some atoms or molecules are stable although they are not following octet rules. So, first is incomplete octet of central atom. In some compounds, the number of electrons surrounding the central atom is less than 8. This is especially case with the elements having less than 4 valence electrons. For example, lithium chloride, beryllium hydride, and boron chloride. So as you can see, if we represent their Lewis structures, then no one has octet complete in this case. So as you can see, for lithium, it will have only 2 valence electron, although for chlorine, octet will be complete. Similarly, for Be, it has only 4 electrons, not 8. Hydrogens do not follow octet rules, okay, so there will be exception. In case of boron, you will notice we have 6 electrons around them. For chlorine, octets will be complete. Lithium, beryllium, boron have 1, 2 and 3 valence electrons only. Some other such compounds are aluminum chloride and beryllium fluoride. Try to find their Lewis dot structure yourself and share with me in group. Next, odd electron molecules. That means in some cases we do not have even number of electrons. In case of octet rules, electrons should be in even number so that we can arrange them. If they are in odd number, then there is one electron left always. In molecule with odd numbers of electron like nitric oxide NO and nitrogen dioxide NO2, the octet rule is not satisfied for all the atoms. So as you can see in first molecule NO, how many electrons we have around the nitrogen? So as you can see in this shared double bond, 2 electrons are present. from nitrogen side and 2 from oxygen side. So let us say we have 4 shared electrons. So this will be the octet of oxygen. It contains total 8 electrons. So octet of oxygen is complete. But what about nitrogen? So as you can see, in case of nitrogen we have 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1, only 7 electrons. So octet of nitrogen is incomplete. In case of NO2, same type of situation occurs. In this double bond, 4 electrons will be used. In single bond, 2 electrons will be used. So if we check for oxygen, 8 electrons are complete. Second oxygen, 8 electrons are complete. But for nitrogen, we have 4 plus 2 plus 1, total 7 electrons. So octet is incomplete. Next is expanded octet. It is second problem. Elements in and beyond the third period of the periodic table have, apart from 3s and 3p orbitals, 3d orbitals are also available. That means we have one more orbital to deal with. So in number of compounds of these elements, there are more than 8 valence electrons around the central atom. Okay. In initial situation, maximum possible number of valence electrons were only 8, but after some element, one more orbital is added. It is 3d. So in case of 3d orbital, you will get more number of valence electrons. Okay, that means now valence electrons are higher than 8. So how can we arrange or how can we follow the octet rule? This is termed as expanded octet. Obviously, the octet rule does not apply in such cases because according to octet rules, we can arrange only 8 electrons because it is maximum number, and when you arrange 8 electrons, they are fully filled. Some of the examples of such compounds are PF5, SF6, H2SO4, and number of coordination compounds. We have multiple different type of coordination compounds. You will learn about these type of compounds in standard 12. So here are few examples. As you can see, PF5 around the central phosphorus atom. If you count, then you will see we have total 10 electrons around the P. How? Because we have 5 bonds. So each bond has 2 electrons in it. Okay. That means we have 10 shared electrons. So if we check the octet of phosphorus, you will notice you have total 10 electrons in it. If you check for each fluorine, you will notice they have 8 electrons in their octet. So they are satisfied. But phosphorus contains more than 8 electrons. It contains 10. In case of SF6, it increases even more. So as you can see, we have total 6 bonds around the sulfur. 6 bonds represents total 12 shared electrons. So in case of sulfur, we have 12 electrons surrounding it, or 12 valence electrons. For a fluorine, situation is same as before. In case of H2SO4, again you will notice we have 12 electrons around the sulfur because it has 2 double bonds on the top oxygen, one single bond with one oxygen, then again double bond and again single bond. So how many bonds we have? We have total 6 bonds, so that means total 12 electrons are shared. Around the sulfur we have 12 valence electrons. Now, interestingly, sulfur also forms many compounds in which octet rules is obeyed. In sulfur dichloride, the sulfur atom has an octet of electrons around it. That means 8 electrons around it. That means we can say that when these type of elements uses only s and p orbitals, they will follow octet rules. But when they also uses d orbital, they do not follow octet rules. Same type of situation can be obtained for phosphorus as well. As mentioned in previous case, we observed that phosphorus has total 10 valence electrons, which you can see in PF5 molecule. As you can see in PF5 we have total 10 electrons around the phosphorus. But if you try to form PF3 molecule or PCl3 molecule, then phosphorus will follow octet rule in it. In this case, as you can see, we have 10 electrons. Let us try to find the structure of PCl3 or PF3.
When you heat PCl5, then it will become PCl3 by releasing Cl2 gas. Okay, so let us concentrate on PCl5 and PCl3. As mentioned in PF5, same type of structure will be observed in PCl5. Both of them has exactly same type of sharing of electron. So as you can see, we have total 10 shared electrons around the phosphorus. Okay, so we have 10 electrons in this case. In case of PCl3, we have one non-bonding electron pair in phosphorus, and then it has 6 shared electrons around it. That means like this. So if you check, then you will notice octet is followed in PCl3 but not in PCl5. If you check the configuration of phosphorus, then it is exactly just like nitrogen. It contains total 5 valence electrons like this. Okay, so we have total 5 valence electrons in nitrogen, and when it shares electron with adjacent chlorine, situation is something like this. One lone pair is present inside the phosphorus and it will share 3 electrons with 3 adjacent chlorines. Okay, so let us say, let us represent electrons of chlorine with X symbol. So this will be situation when PCl3 molecule is formed. So as you can see, we have 8 electrons around the phosphorus in PCl3 but 10 in PCl5. So just like sulfur, phosphorus also follows octet rules in some cases but not in each and every cases. If it uses d orbital, then it do not follow octet rule, but if it is using only p and s orbitals, then it do follows octet rules. Now other drawbacks of this theory is it is clear that the octet rule is based upon the chemical inertness of noble gases. However, some noble gases, for example xenon and krypton, also combines with oxygen and fluorine to form number of compounds like xenon fluoride, krypton fluoride, xenon oxofluoride, etc. That means this theory is basically based on that assumption each and every elements are trying to obtain noble gas like electronic configuration, and if they gain so, they do not react further. But even noble gases have a tendency to react in certain conditions. Second, this theory does not account for the shape of molecule. You cannot predict or identify shape of molecule based on this theory. It does not explain the relative stability of the molecules, being totally silent about the energy of molecule. No prediction or comparison data is available about the energy of molecule. That means if you have two different type of molecules, based on this theory, you cannot predict their energies. Now, if you find any confusion regarding to these points, then feel free to ask.